Flight boss, bitch. For sure. Listen to the mind of an Antares Moon. I'm the Royal Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And this video right here is going to be about how you give off fumes based upon your mentality. Now, your mentality have two halves, and for the most part, you're supposed to play the whole of those two halves based upon you understanding spiritual equilibrium. So for the most part, these two halves, when they come together, it creates a fume. Now, there's two halves to a spaceship. I like to call it a spaceship because as a spirit, when you're flying through it, you're traveling through the astral realm to be aware of that realm of reality and also to be aware of yourself and your parameter. But for the most part, regardless of what civilization or religion you may be lost in, they called it many things. Some may call it cloths. Some may call it energy or some other shape and form consciousness. In some shape or form way back in however. But for the most part, like I said, I like to call it a spaceship or your chakras or your wheels, you know what I'm saying, or your minds or your mentalities or however the fuck you, what have you. But for the most part, like I said, this is your motherfucking spaceship to help you be aware of the realm of reality that you are in. So you got two sides of these things. You have a masculine version and a feminine version. The feminine is going to derive emotions and feelings. The masculine is going to derive ideas and thoughts. And when you bring these things together, it creates an internal sex and it gives off a fume. Now this fume, once you give off a fume, it gives the ability for other spirits that's in bodies to sense where you're coming from. So we almost like esoteric skunks because you have that esoteric animalistic nature based upon you already being in that kind of vehicle for you to even be in a human vehicle at the current moment. But for the most part, like I said, once you give off these energies in some way, shape, or form, right, it's a fume. And this fume, if you pay a lot of attention to that fume that you just gave off, that Adam and Eve, that thought and feeling that you just gave off, if you give off a whole lot of that same energy, then that fume is no longer less in density. It's no longer light as Lite. You know what I'm saying? It becomes heavy in density, and now it can become influence or impactful, aka others can experience your vibrations. So I can feel your vibe if you was heavily invested into whatever thought and feeling that you was in, that at the beginning stages it was just a fume. You see what I'm saying? So keep that in mind also. So this allow a person to sense fear from an individual, or if this person have allowed this become a vibration, then this a person being in your space, they can always sense fear because it's portraying or it's fuming off you based upon you being so much in that energy. But here's the thing. This is how we decide. Damn. Now getting into the chakras. Like I said, now if a person is lost into the higher third eye, first eye, however you want to call it, chakra and things of that nature, then for the most part, when a person is giving off these fumes, when you come around an individual, you can kind of sense that this person be in la la land, or this person kind of be in their own world. So if they're not directing that energy right, then for the most part, that energy won't be directed towards a creative matter externally. It'll be directed towards some internal matter that no one else is aware of because it's part of their own world. And then you will give off that fume, and other people would sense that, like, this person is in their own world. I can't really participate what they got going on or have them participate what I got going on based upon what I'm sensing from them, and it's showing through their actions in small percentage levels. Now, if a person is lost into like the motherfucking crown chakra and things of that nature, then this is a person that you could kind of sense they're giving off fumes of reality, a person who think a lot all the time. They're always invested into how they think or how adjusting the situation around them and things of that nature. So it may give you a fume or give you a mood from this individual that you may not be fully aware of, but it give you the sense of this person is overthinking about something, or this person, you just catch that sense. Let's say a person is lost into the throat chakra in some way, shape, or form, and they start to give off these fumes when you are around them. You can start to, even if they're not speaking or talking, you could catch this sense that this person need validation a lot, or you could catch this sense that this person need mental stimulation or mental communication a lot, or like to talk a lot, or don't like to be alone a lot in some way, shape, or form. Like if a person give off a lot of those fumes based upon the throat chakra and things of that nature, then they kind of give you that sense of energy. Let's say if a person has a lot of they give off they got heart chakra fumes that they're giving off. So this spirit is around here, and when you're around them, they're giving off these kind of energies. Now this could be kind of tricky right here because based upon how deeply they're invested into the heart chakra, that one leads into fear. And then that goes lower into survival tactics when you go into the lower animalistic natures. But you have to go all through these like a lighting system. But at the same time, here's like every time you go through one as a spirit, you light it up in some way, shape, or form, right? You give it energy, you give it life, you give it more sparks, because as a spirit you create the spark, as a soul you create the force. See what I'm saying? You create the lights that surround your spirit, or your spirit being an individual spirit, which is a soul, a solo spirit. But for the most part, let's say you're around an individual who gives off fumes from the heart chakra. Then a lot of times this person give off a lot of sense of care. So you can kind of sense that this person care about a lot of things. So that could lead positively and negatively. This person could care about a lot of things that you don't care about, or this person could care about a lot of things that self-sabotage into themselves, or this person could care care for a lot of things of, you know, catering help towards others, or making others feel comfortable and familiar in some way, shape, or form. So you would catch that sense that this is a connective or clingy type of person in some way, shape, or form once a person giving off those fumes. And that's where you sensing. Like once you start to sense that this person is kind of like that, you need to know as a spirit they're flying around their heart chakra and giving off those kind of fumes. You know what I'm saying? Let's say you're around an individual that's going around the root chakra and things of that nature. This will be an individual who's in the giving off fumes, very passionate, or they're into their passion. So they could be a person that's not even acting in any kind of way. They're not showing you nothing. They're not. They didn't express their goals to you, but you just feel this energy. You sense this energy around them, like this person is goal orientated. Just by certain body language and certain ways that they're moving their head and stuff like that. You can tell, okay, this person is kind of organized, or not organized, but or orientated towards their goals, or motherfucker, this person is passionately invested into something, or I bet not rub this person the wrong way because they got this some type of inner fire or something like that. I bet not fuck with them. That's a person that always be in their root chakra in some way, shape, or form. So keep that in mind also. You got the sacral chakra and shit like that. Let's say the sacral chakra. Being in a situation where you're around a person like this is a person who likes to travel. You know what I'm saying? Person who likes to travel a lot. Or you might not even see them or even know their life, but you kind of can sense that this person either travel mentally or they travel physically a lot. And you could kind of sense this a large experience percentage level around them in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's a person who ain't experienced, you might look at them like they know something that they really don't in some way, shape, or form, and you won't really know that until you experience that with them. And then you have to go off like, damn, I was just going off how this person was acting. This person act like a person that know a lot of shit, but they really don't once they get down to it. You know what I'm saying? That might be a person that's giving off sacral chakra fumes. You know what I'm saying? So that'd be like the sacral chakra fumes and shit like that. When you're around an individual and they make you feel like that. So try not to get wrapped up into that either, because that leads into leading the blind energy, where you kind of just you'll be led by a person's energy of going about an idea, other than if the actual idea makes sense itself. You see what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Now, and then also let's say you got a person lost in the solar plexus. Now, here's the thing. When you're around this individual, you're going to sense that this person is self-orientated, or this person is self-centered or selfish, even if they not, you know what I'm saying? But their way of going about helping others may still be them being in that space of the solar plexus. So they come across as helping others, but they didn't really do it for that person. They did it for their own cause or something like that. So in some way, shape, or form, it's still self. But like I said, right? When you're around an individual and you kind of sense certain energies, like, I can't really add too much of myself to this individual because this individual already got something going on. Like, once you start catching those senses and stuff like that, you got hit by some fumes. And those fumes, those thoughts and feelings from the other individual, made you start to think and feel, aka start to create a shape and form when you start to put it into your left brain area, and start to logically make a shape and form, aka make out of that feeling what is this what you just received. And then once you start to make the image out of it, if it give you images and visions and feelings to make you think like, yeah, I bet not bother this person too much because they got their own thing going. 9 times out of 10, that person give off a lot of fumes when they be in a solar plexus. So when you're around this individual, they be comfortable in that area a lot spiritually. So those are the fumes they getting off. So if you start to pick that up, you know what I'm saying? It's not just you. Everything is for a reason. It takes two energies to come together to make something out of something. So you received it. Now here's one of the reasons I said that, right? Because I don't want people to think that every time you're around other individuals, right, that when you pick up feelings, that is not you. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll start casting stones at other individuals based upon, sometimes y'all prejudge. So that's why I'm getting ready to explain what I'm explaining right now. But for the most part, like I said, everything is for a reason. So it takes two. So if you're feeling a weird vibe or something like that, you got hit by somebody else's fumes, and then it's up to you to adjust it. But if you ain't got spiritual psyche or spirit, because there's a lot of people on the internet right now that don't even really got spiritual psyche, but they on the internet talking about spirituality and shit like that. So you gotta get that, so we got to get that out the way too. But for the most part, like I said, you got to know how to decipher between if you might be just tripping with yourself, or are you catching the actual energy from someone else. And here's how you do that. When you know the exact percentage level that you added in to a circumstance, situation, or relation. You know what I'm saying? When you know the exact percentage level you put in, and you always keep track of that percentage level, you know how much to give and how much not to give, then there can never be no, like if a situation go downhill, it can never be your fault, because you always played each quarter, and you always separated when it was time for it, and you always needed confirmation to know when to connect again. And when that confirmation wasn't there, you separated yourself without being barren on the other or group of individuals, if you get what I'm saying. So if you, when you, and I meant to say overbearing. So when you stay in that kind of sector, you're actually having spiritual equilibrium with yourself, but you're actually having spiritual equilibrium within the realm of reality that you're in, and what you're involving yourself with via person, place, or thing. And when you play that game, then for the most part, if anything happened within it, the relationship or the circumstance, it can never be your fault. And if it is your fault, it's on a small percentage level, because it's just because you participated. But your way of participating can never be on the bad end of the fault. You know what I'm saying? So someone else will always have to take the responsibility of wherever the relationship led to, especially if it was a negative end. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, that's how you will be able to know now when you're getting hit with a fume. It ain't just you tripping. You got hit with a fume, and you know that you're deciphering it, and you not just tripping. It's purely coming from this individual, and it's not something that you're receiving, and you might just be prejudging based upon things that you've been thinking and feeling about. You're spiritually inclined enough to know how to separate from that. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times people don't know how to go about that in this realm of reality, because they already be lost into a desire. A lot of people want something already or need something, so they will use other individuals in some way, shape, or form without even giving a fuck about the actual individuals. They will just use the individual in some way, shape, or form to get whatever that they desire, not knowing that that's how spirits got lost in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Until we understand what we're supposed to do ourselves, and understand spiritual equilibrium for ourselves, and when we are interacting with the external world, the only time that we're going to be in a situation where the fume that comes from us is always going to be at a more pure state in some way, shape, or form. So keep that in mind. Know that you give off fumes based upon your mentality, and you really can't run and hide from anybody. Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure.